Welcome to the Parts and Labor Podcast, the podcast that explores strategies, systems, and stories that drive salon success. I'm Alicia, founder and CEO of SalonScale.
And I'm Whitney, head of sales here at SalonScale. Welcome to the Parts and Labor Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Parts and Labor Podcast. I'm Alicia, your host today, and today we've got a really exciting episode. I've got a guest on, and this one means a lot to me. This is a local salon owner. Her name is Celene Dupuis, and she's from my city. And when launching SalonScale, there was a handful of salon owners I knew, and so taking that risk, knocking on her door and saying, hey, I have this idea, what do you think? That's really where our story started. And so I am going to take you guys through just a conversation here with Celene on, our story, how we met, and then just really talking about the process of getting to where we are today and the success we've seen overall. So welcome, Celene, to the Parts and Labor Podcast.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here.
So why don't we kick it off with the story? So what was that initial, when I first came to you and what was that experience to you? And what was your first initial thoughts when I brought up SalonScale to you?
Yeah, I love it. Well, I was invited to the launch party. I remember it was on 20th Street in like a really cool venue. There was a lot of industry people. And I don't think you and I had ever really personally connected. I was like, I'm going to admit, I was super skeptical. I'm like, I wonder what this is all about. Let's check it out. And I remember leaving being like, this sounds really cool. I love that you call me an early adopter because I actually feel like a total fraud because I waited for 2 years. I know in the birth of your company, I could still be considered an early adopter, but I waited for 2 years before I actually joined because I was like, man, what will my clients think? Like fear just totally took over. And I was like, I want to see like if this crashes and burns, not that it would, but like what are everyone's problems going to be before I adopt it? Because I was just really nervous. So that's kind of how I thought it was really intriguing, but I hadn't really like connected the dots yet. So that's kind of how we got connected. And then once I finally signed up, I was like, here for life.
And when we got you onboarded and set up, was that almost the same time that you introduced us to HPSA?
I think there was probably it was within that first year that I made that introduction. But yeah, like from my onboarding, obviously I saw pretty quick how easy the process was. And then that just kind of came organically. One of the things we do at our high performance events is called a mastermind. Basically sit around a table with a bunch of business owners, like what's the best thing ever in your company? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you. So I shared how much money I made. I think it hadn't even been like a full 6 months yet, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I shared the dollar amount and then everyone at the table votes, like which is the one that makes you the most excited. I obviously got voted for, and then you have to stand up and tell the whole room. So it's like Jason pulled me aside and was like, we need to talk. And that's kind of how that whole birth and new marriage of SalonScale and HPSA came about.
Yes. And when you first brought SalonScale in, did you go right into parts and labor right away, or did you start by tracking? How did you introduce that, into the salon when you first got it?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And also, I think that those are the questions that stop people from getting started because people just overcomplicate it. So the way we still charge a la carte, but all of our prices are based on an hourly rate. So the client, we're parts and labor, but it's not like we're like $100 an hour for your service and then the parts charge. So, we just kept it simple. I think in the beginning, we just, for me, I couldn't wrap my head around changing or taking down what my stylists cost. So we're like, hey, what can we do that would make this simple? Well, it's time for a price increase. Instead of doing our price increase, we're just going to add on SalonScale. So nothing changed for our service providers. Their prices were already based on an hourly rate. We just added the parts into it. And that way, the little bit of an increase that guests saw really didn't affect anyone. And I didn't have to worry about handling all the little voices from my team that were like, well, I'm going to make less money, or how's this going to work? It wasn't even an issue really.
And with adding it on top, did you start with a full markup? how did you kind of launch it that way?
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, this is where I was chicken. And also, like, I was an early adopter, so it's not like I had a bunch of people to chat with that had already done it. So the idea of the markup, I think, is scary at first. So like I kind of was a little bit of a chicken and I was like, I'll start at 60% and go from there. I tell everyone, I'm like, don't even, like, I just was, you're expecting when you launch something new that there's going to be fallout. Like not one person commented. The only comment we had was someone saying we named it product charge and we charge it out as a retail item, like in our software. And they were like, well, I didn't buy product. And we're like, oh, we should probably call it color charge. So, I mean, that's literally the only comment that we had in the entire process. We just made sure we had great communication. We explained parts and labor to our guests. I love to use the mechanic, analogy. And guests were like, oh, amazing, I'm being charged for what I use. And there's like, I think I had started like that whole like no hidden fees, like fair trade coffee. Like it's like transparent pricing. Like we have no hidden fees, and that just became part of our marketing. So our clients really resonated with that, and it's like they didn't have to worry about going to the till. And it's like $100 one time and $500 the next. So that just resonated with them, and we just like jumped right into it.
Yeah, I think we see this a lot of the times that, salon owners, they know they need something like this and they're curious about it. And then there's that like instant like fear of, oh my gosh, like how am I going to display this to the customers or talk about that? Or what are my staff going to say? And that like becomes the kind of slow down process of really getting started. And so what we do notice is like what you just said, which is like once they just take the action and they realize that a lot of the fears that they kind of popped up, they really weren't as bad as what they initially thought. So if you were to talk to a salon owner right now that is like on the fence or like want to do that, is in that kind of feels right now and they're saying, oh, I know I need this, but I don't know how to talk to my team or I don't know how to do this. Like what is two bits of advice, number one, to them, to their staff, and then the other one to them, to their customers?
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, first of all, I think it's like you got to speak to people's little voices. So I'm a little voice mastery coach where it's like all about like, there's something in them that's obviously stopping them from doing it. So, I mean, I can give you all the systems and the verbiage, but if you can't handle people's little voices and where it's coming from, it doesn't matter what you say. So I think like, what are identifying like what the fears are, the fears of what your clients are going to think and the fears of what your stylists are going to think. I think the fears of a stylist are, am I going to lose clients because my prices are going up, and am I going to make less money now because the client is paying for that charge? So it's like once you can handle that, and then a client fear, like we're fearful that our clients are going to be like, well, why are they charging me this money on top? Like, are they ripping me off? So it's like, those are all just like not real fears once you actually break it down. So I think that's the first piece of advice. And so as a business owner, if I'm worried about what everybody's going to think, I'm also needing to address like my BS that's getting in the way. And it's like, I'm here to do business. I'm not here to like protect everybody's feelings. So if I was building a house, like, can you imagine if your builder was like, well, so here's what's going to work. We're going to build the house for you, and we're just going to pay for all the costs of the lumber. And like, absolutely not. Like when you go to a lawyer, they charge you for the paper clips they use. So why are we doing it any differently? And like, we got to just remove the emotion from the decision making, which is easier said than done. Like that comes with a lot of personal development work. But I think that would be my biggest advice, is like address your fear. Like my fear as an owner and my whole staff are going to quit because they think I'm paying them less and I'm being greedy and I'm like now marking it up and like ripping everybody off, and that my clients will be pissed off. Like those are the fears. So it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? My whole team's going to quit. I'll have no clients and I have to close my business. Well, that's not going to happen. So it's just like actually working through like the worst case scenario, and then how would I handle that? Well, I'm going to handle that by having good communication, educating them properly on like what's in it for them. If you can always speak to what's in it for them, it makes it a lot easier. If I handle it that way, they'll feel confident. It's actually going to make their appointments easier because there's transparent pricing. They're able to just explain parts and labor easily to their guests. Their guest sees it on the bill. They only pay for what was paid for, and there's no more of the guesswork anymore where they like walk them up to the till and then they hide in the back. Yeah. Like we see that happen all the time, right? So that would be my piece of advice is like
dodge and charge.
the dodge and charge. And yeah, just like uncover all of the fears and like how you would handle it, so that it's just like not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's some great advice. And I think to coming, to who you are and everything, you have a successful salon here in Saskatoon, and watching you from being on stage is like, I think the first time I actually saw you was at a Redken event. But watching you present on stages, and now, watching you become, a major coach for salon owners, being part of the High Performance Salon Academy, and then all this incredible knowledge that you've soaked up, and then, adopt in your own philosophies and then be able to move it. I can just see such a force, and I see so many salon owners coming towards you and saying, help coach me and help talk to me about those kinds of things. So that's kind of where I want to go, which is like the journey into high performance, which is, first of all, thank you for that. Thank you for the introduction to Jason and the team. And I think, let's kind of go into that area there, which is what was that like when we introduced those high performance to SalonScale, and what was that like for the community when we introduced it?
Yeah, well, when I say it's major, it's actually such an understatement. I think it was right around COVID time. And I had chatted with Jason a little bit. Jason's the owner and founder of High Performance Salon Academy. I chatted with him about it before, and I know he always shares this when he introduces you, but he's kind of like, yeah, like, what is this thing? But it's like, once the Academy was like, holy crap, like, what is this technology? And Jason was like, oh, it's like you hear it from a different perspective. And I mean, it's shifted. I think it's like part of our foundational teachings in the Academy. It's part of Jason's Profitable Salon Owner book. It's part of our onboarding process into the Academy, because you just can't run. I don't believe that you can run a business without like solid business plans, and paying for the cost of products and then paying your staff commission on top of that is not like a viable business strategy. So I think like really like what it changed was salons all over North America in a really tough time. I mean, COVID was a really tough time for a lot of people. They were able to literally create new profit immediately. So like when I first launched it, I just had it like my three leadership team. I'm like, you guys do this for a month, get used to it, so you're on board, so that when we launch it, it's like a smooth launch. And I couldn't believe the income just from having 3 people on it. I think like right now I've had some team changes. We have a smaller team than usual, and like we're grossing like $6,000 a month. That's like what, $72,000 a year. Like that's a lot of money, right? And so I think, I mean, in the Academy, I think what we see is all these businesses who went from like literally not being profitable, because like, what do they say? Something like less than 3% of salons across North America are profitable. I don't know what the actual stats are. It's under 10% break even, and it's like under 10% for sure are profitable. So there's like not a lot of profit in our company, and the things that are in our industry, the things that lack from lack of profitability, we don't have money to educate our team. We don't have money to hire business coaches. We don't have money to hire like supports, like financial advisors or things like that, like really good accountants. And we're like doing a lot of that stuff ourselves. And those are the areas that, unless it's your superpower, you probably shouldn't do it. So it just has created, I think, a whole new stream of revenue for the Academy, which is why the High Performance Salon Academy are some of the most profitable salon owners across the entire United States and Canada.
Oh, absolutely. I remember, like, do you remember that one of my first events that was there, and then Jason, asked the room, like, how many of you are using SalonScale, and like 80% of the room put their hand up. Yeah. And then he went around and he said, how has SalonScale impacted like what revenue? And just like you said, at 72,000, we had people that were like 50,000, 100,000, and then the one was like 175,000. Yeah. It was like that, that influence from us working together, going into that community, and then being in that room. I don't know if I told you how much that like meant to me, but that was like one of the biggest impactful moments of my career, is to sit there and watch that. And And that was amazing. And it's, thanks to the community and thanks to you for, believing in it and then trying it and pushing it forward and then seeing the success in the room was amazing.
Well, I think thanks for creating it, because now we actually can make some profit in our companies. So it's been super helpful. But I remember someone actually standing up, and I don't know if it was that time, because we've done this a few times, but like they were crying, like this has changed my life. And it's interesting because right now there's 12 mentors in High Performance Salon Academy, and we're writing a book called Prove Them Wrong. And it's literally like the title came from the fact, like my family used to joke that I'd either be a stripper or a hairdresser. It was like one or the other. I think I'd make a lot more money if I combined the two. But it's kind of like our job is like a second class job. And so I think many people in the beauty industry feel like we're constantly proving everybody wrong, that we can make money. We can, even though profit margins are like, I think 6 to 8% is average profit margins for salons. Yep. And like we have salons that are like 15, 25% profit in the academy or more. And I think that like we're constantly proving them wrong. And so strategies and technology like this has been the biggest shift in how salons charge. That has actually created profit. It's been one of the biggest shifts in probably the last 100 years of the beauty industry. So I think it's pretty major.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're obviously in that kind of a technical or data transformation era, you know, and kind of getting into that, which is it's great for a tech founder to kind of go that way, which is amazing. I think now kind of when it goes into high performance and coaching there, one of the things you said was the profitable back bar system, and that kind of coaching. If someone was to want to learn this or get a part of the academy and learn all that stuff, how would they do that, and what is that all about?
So my journey with HPSA, I always like to tell everybody that I'm actually a member. I don't work for them, but what's different about them is all of the coaches are actually members in the academy. So you have to be a salon owner. You have to have a viable interest. That's a huge reason why I choose that company versus like maybe other coaching companies that it's like everybody gets the same Excel spreadsheet. They've never owned a business. So I think that's what makes it really unique. But yeah, anybody who's really like wanting to take things to the next level, like beyond a spreadsheet, like we don't feed you for the day. Like it's like the give a man a fish. Like we like teach you to fish so you can actually create that stuff. And I think that's, again, going to the website, contacting me directly. The support team at HPSA is incredible. If you're ready to take your salon to the next level, that's how you would find us. And I think that what I would say is like taking things like their SalonScale, but then it's like marketing it as like the profitable back bar system. So, and it's like SalonScale is the technology, but the system is actually teaching salons how to have a profitable back bar and to take control of that. And you can't do that without, without that partnership with companies like SalonScale. So, I recommend it to everybody. I've been a member for 8 years, and it's literally like transformed my business.
Oh, I've seen it. I think, always having that kind of community or solution, especially as a lone wolf or a salon owner.
Sure.
I've seen just the most incredible success. And then the combination of it too, SalonScale will help get you the cash, and then you'll now have cash flow for your membership and be able to 100%. Kind of support those things together. So that's why we really work well with communities like that. And so now we're getting kind of to the end. So I'd love to wrap it up with any other final thoughts, any suggestions, anything else that, if a salon owner was listening to this podcast today, anything that you want to tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on my daily coaching calls in high performance, one of the things, SalonScale comes up all the time. I want to do it, I'm scared. Like the fear, back to the fear, it comes up all the time. And if you've ever watched the video on YouTube, How to Create a Movement, it's like this crazy guy dancing in the field. That crazy guy is actually Alicia. It's like, I have this crazy idea. I'm all by myself. I'm dancing. Your dance moves are really great, by the way.
Thank you.
But it's like the first couple people that join the lone nut, like that's what creates a movement. And it's like for the early adopters, again, it's like key people. There's many salons in our city right here in Saskatoon, like some of our friends that were some of those first people. And then everybody kind of joins the movement. And so what I would say is like, don't wait till everybody joins the movement. Like, how much are you going to let fear, on our daily coaching call? Like, I finally had to call, I'm like, I got to love punch you. Like her name is Nikki. I'm like, Nikki, you've been talking about joining SalonScale for like 5 freaking years. When are you just going to do it? And I'm like everybody put in the chat, how much money do you make a month on SalonScale? And the numbers started coming in. And I'm like, guys, I make like do the math, like $6,000 a month, like times 12 months a year. Like, are you really going to let fear cost you like $70,000 a year? Like, what could you do in your business with $70,000? And like, if you have that 100% markup, like that's your gross profit, but you're like taking half of that home. Like, you could hire more people. You wouldn't have to complain about actually hiring business coaches or sales desk support or whatever that might be. So it's like, how much money are you going to let fear actually take off the table? Because you deserve that, your team deserves that, your customers deserve that. And so I think it's just like getting out of your own way. Programs like Little Voice Mastery, it's a Blair Singer program. We teach it through the academy. You don't have to be a member of the academy to take the program. Like, that program changed my life because it teaches you how to address that fear, get it out of the way, so you can actually make decisions without letting those little voices keep you small. So that's what I would say is like, time to kick that to the curb and just like join the movement.
Well, thank you so much, Celene, for today and for everything. And again, for those that are listening to this, we'll make sure in the show notes we'll have links to get access to Celene, HPSA, and of course, SalonScale. So head over to our website, salonscale.com, and go ahead and start your 14-day free trial.